What is up, Flixler here for Thomann synthesizers, and today I'm going to be having a look at the Nord Piano 5. Nord actually reached out and asked whether I wanted to check this out, and of course I said yes, because I always wanted to have one of these. And I think for me personally there's three main things that are of interest when it comes to Nord keyboard. First of which is the grand piano sounds, then the Fender Rhodes style electric piano sounds, and lastly the strings, because I think the Nord keyboards, they always have a very distinctive kind of style when it comes to strings. So I'm gonna first go ahead and start with a little live jam where I try to incorporate all of these sounds. Afterwards I'm gonna try and see how it stacks up against my actual original 1978 Fender Rhodes Mark I. And lastly I'm gonna have a little look at the overall feature layout and sound design workflow with this latest version. So let's get started. Why don't we go ahead and start by having a look at what sounds I prepared myself for the performance, and in so doing I think we're going to figure out this entire layout. Starting out here obviously with the most important section, the piano section. As you can see, we always have two layers. In this case I used the Rhodes for layer 1 and the grand piano for layer 2. Let's switch back to layer 1, and you can see here we can select a broader category, in this case electric piano, and then from these broader categories like electric, grand, upright, etc., we can select more detailed selection of presets. In this case it's I think 8 Rhodes sounds and 2 Wurlitzer sounds, so it's not so many, so we can actually have a look or listen at all of them for a quick moment. So let's start out by using this one. This is the first one, called Deep Timbre. I think this one is the one I used. Now Ideal Timbre. Shallow Close. It's a bit brighter. Mark V 80s. Bright Tines, which is really bright. Sparkle Top. This sounds a bit amped already, and this one, Amped Tines, is definitely already amped during the recording. Oh, this is beautifully detailed. Number 8. And now the 2 Wurlitzers. Yeah, beautiful stuff. So what I did in order to get the sound that I want out of deep timbre 1, I first selected another timbre here. This must be some sort of EQ presets here, but I used soft and listen to the clean one again. Really, really bright, and now soft. Removed a lot of this high sparkle. Then here we have obviously the classic effect sounds that you would want to have on the Rhodes, like a phaser and a chorus. And here some stuff like tremolo. Etc. And here we have an amp section. Why is this useful? Usually a Rhodes sound you would actually record it through a guitar amp with a microphone. And listed here as options for us are the Twin and the JC. And this can only be a reference to the Fender Twin Reverb amp and the Roland Jazz Chorus, I think it's called, the JC, because these are the two most common amps for recording Fender Rhodes pianos. Anyways, what does this do? It effectively just adds overdrive and maybe also some other subtle amp-like changes. I don't know, but maybe it's just a drive. Yeah, which introduces harmonics, and I think it's beautiful to pair it with the reverb and actually the booth, which is a very small, super tiny reverb and just a very subtle amount. And this is my Rhodes sound. And I actually have really a specific idea of how I want my Rhodes piano to sound, and was really surprised by how precisely I could dial in exactly how I want it to sound. Which is something that would be much more of a hassle with an actual Rhodes piano, because you would have to open it up and work on it for a couple of hours to make one adjustment. I might be exaggerating, but not as much as you think. Something else that's also really lovely is this option here, pedal noise, which is something you would also encounter on a real Rhodes piano, and it's somewhat randomized. As you can hear, there's various recordings of it, and it just mixes in very subtly while you play it. And this is a really beautiful detail. Why we would have this noise is actually because the bar that's responsible for the sustain bar inside of the Rhodes piano is actually pressing against all of the keys at once. So sometimes you have this sound of the entire keyboard very quietly. And yeah, it's details like these that make this really, really believable. And before I actually used my real Mark I piano, I used to use the VST plugin by Native Instruments, and this was also already really realistic sounding, I think. But what you have here is just a whole bunch more control and attention to detail already within this keyboard. Yeah, so really impressive overall. But now for an actual A-B comparison, let's have a look at a little jam that I recorded earlier on my actual Rhodes piano, and then me playing on the same track with the Nord Piano 5. original Fender Rhodes Mark I. And if I had to conclude in terms of the comparison, I think in pretty much every rationally justifiable category, the Nord objectively wins out because it's much more practical, much more reliable. There's no maintenance work to be done, whereas this is kind of a pain in the butt because every other week something is going to cause some sort of trouble. For example, I can't really turn on the Syntrax while I'm recording the Rhodes because it's going to cause electrical interference with the internals of the Rhodes. Sometimes I have grounding issues when pressing the pedal. Because I guess my foot is closing some sort of electrical circuit somewhere that's causing a little tiny electrical crackle that's undesirable. And then of course you have to consider that there's, in this case, 73 keys. So there's actually 73 individual pickups, similar to guitar pickups. Inside of here that all individually can break, might have to be rewired or completely replaced, and a whole lot more mechanical parts, especially the key bed. It's like on a traditional piano actually, and this can also cause a lot of problems. This one is in an okay condition, but by no means perfect. For example, if I press this key really, really hard, it creates these very undesirable overtones because I think the hammer is striking against the tine twice, where it should only do it once. Yeah, there you go. And stuff like this can happen all the time. In this case, I will probably have to readjust the entire keyboard to prevent issues like this, which is never going to happen on something like the Nord. So is there any, you ask, objective benefit to the original? I think it's just probably romanticism, because if you look at this, it's just a really beautiful object of desire, and it can, I don't know, inspire you. And this in turn, I think, can help you to have new ideas that you wouldn't have otherwise had. But apart from that, I think it's pretty much a matter of preference and priority. And if you're not as obsessed about it as I am, and you just want the perfect sound in your production or in your performance or whatever, I guess the Nord is perfectly suitable for that. But if there's anything that I miss, feel free to point it out in the comments. Anyways, that's it for the comparison. But lastly, let's head back over to the Nord and check out some of the remaining sounds that I used in the performance before we conclude the video. Alright, so much for the A-B comparison. Anyways, up next for the other sounds that I used in the performance. Here, the same principle applies basically to the grand piano, where you just select first the category and then you have a bunch of beautifully sampled grand piano sounds. Lovely. And of course, all of the timbre controls and effects equally apply if you like. But for the grand piano sounds, you're usually going to be well off just letting them stay as they are. And yeah, I think they all sound really beautifully realistic. But this first one, White Grand, is my personal favorite. And then up next, let's move over to the sample synth here, which, as the name suggests, is actually where we can play sampled instruments that are not just electric pianos and grand pianos, but stuff like strings, for example. Or synths, I think in this case. What do we have here? Analog strings. No, we want ensemble strings. And I think the one I used in the performance must have been this one. And yeah, I added some attack here because this way it doesn't just start right away, but actually takes some time to go up in volume. And this had this almost reverse sample kind of sound that we'd hear on 90s trip hop records. Yeah, it gave me like instant Massive Attack vibes. So I went with this one. And here you can of course also select various categories, like for example synth pad as well. And I think this one was really lovely. But also just with more attack. And this is something that I think would match really well with the Fender Rhodes. So now just the Rhodes, and now layering in the synth pad. And one more thing that is a very useful feature for the synth engine, you can actually use the Nord software to manage the sounds in here. Obviously, as the sticker here suggests, there's a whole bunch of Nord sounds available on their website that you can load into any given Nord keyboard. But with this sample engine in here, you can actually also record your own sounds and create instruments from them. So for example, I could record a sound from my Moog grandmother and use it to import it into the software and then into the Nord, yeah, to play it on here as an instrument. Alright, I guess that's it from my side for today. In case you have any questions, let me know below. I'll try and get back to you ASAP. Apart from that, thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Peace out.